Good morning, everyone. It's still pretty early. I've been up for a while. I'm having coffee today, so I thought you might want to jump on and have coffee with Katie because I've got some thoughts. Actually, I've had a lot of thoughts like the last 24 hours, quite a bit of mind chatter going on here. I've been in my head, which is sometimes a scary place to be. And I've been trying to talk through it with some people that are important to me, and I've tried to write it down to get it out of my head. But I'm having some fear, and I'm having some self-doubt, and I'm having some mind chatter. So I thought I would get on here and be vulnerable and share with everybody what's going on. So I talked yesterday, well, I didn't talk, but I posted yesterday about positivity and having a positive mindset and how that can really set you up for success for your day and for your life. And so we identify a problem, we look for the solutions, and then we take action on the solution, right? What if you're afraid? What if you're terrified to take action on that solution? How do we get over the fear of ourselves? So I looked up the definition of fear because I'm a language lover, and the English language is a complicated one. So the definition of fear is a verb and a noun. Go figure. And it can mean an unpleasant emotion caused by belief that someone or something is dangerous or likely to cause pain or a threat. As a verb, it means to be afraid of someone or something likely to be dangerous. But it also means to feel anxiety or apprehension and to avoid or put off doing something because one is afraid. So I find the action part of fear, the definition of fear, really interesting because in my coaching and in my conversations helping others, I find that one of the things they say is, like, I know everything I should be doing. I know what I need to be doing, but I'm just immobilized or paralyzed to do it. And I think back to myself a year ago, and I sort of felt the same way. Like, I know I needed to get healthy. I know I needed to make myself a priority. Like, I knew all these things. But I really felt trapped and immobilized. I realize now that that was fear to be above average, fear to take control of things, fear to step into what I'm really meant to be and do. And it was really holding me back. And I've shared a little bit about my fears on here in some previous posts, but the more I get further into this phase of my journey, the more I'm realizing how afraid I am of a lot of things. And I'm talking not just like a little afraid, like there's some things I'm terrified of. And I don't want to feel insecure. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel unpleasant. But just by the very definition of fear, it's meant to be uncomfortable and it's meant to be unpleasant. So that's normal then, right? So it normalizes it. So what's the opposite of fear? Well, I firmly believe the opposite of fear is faith. Well, faith is sort of untangible or intangible. It's something that's in your mind. It's something that lives in your heart, right? So how can we put action to faith if we're terrified of doing something? So I've talked about setting SMART goals, and I think that's that's an important step in overcoming fear. You have to have a goal, because having a goal and having a solution, then you can put action to it. And you sort of just have to get over yourself at that point. When I think about fear, fear is something that keeps us average. Fear is something that keeps us on the couch. Fear is something that keeps us from going after that thing that we want deep down in our heart, the thing we think about in the middle of the night, the thing that wakes us up at 4 a.m. That's fear, keeping you average. And I don't want to be average. Like, God did not give me talents and abilities for me to just be average. And I don't want my kids to be average. I mean, I love them and I want them to be the best versions of themselves. I want my children to have goals. I want my children to have aspirations for their lives. I want them to have a vision of what they want, because then they can create action around that. But if I don't have vision, if I don't have dreams, if I don't have goals, how can I expect them to? If I'm not working for something, and I think it's really, really important. And I know I talked about dreams a couple of weeks ago. One of the things I hadn't been doing is sharing my dreams and my goals with my kids. Like, yeah, they know mom's been taking care of herself and making herself a priority. But did I share the why behind it? No. Have I shared my purpose with them? Have I shared where I want to be 6 months from now, what I want to be doing a year from now, where I see our family 5, 10 years down the road? Like, I haven't shared my vision and my dreams with them very much. They see what I'm doing. They know I have them, but do they know what they are? So at our dinner table conversations, I've really started talking about my dreams and my goals with my children, because to me, the leader sets the pace. So I'm the leader of my family, right? So if I'm not setting the pace and setting the example, how can I expect them to? Because let's be honest, teachers in this day and age have way too much on their plates to also be teaching our kids about how to achieve goals. Like, this stuff has to start at home and with real live conversations about it, right? So it's important that we share our vision. It's important that we share what we want. And I find that the more we share, the more accountability we have towards actually putting action into that. So it's a great thing to do, right? The more you talk about it, the more you speak it into existence, the more likely your actions are to align with that. So what am I afraid of? I am afraid of failure. I have said it before, and you all gave me some really, really great feedback on it. I loved all your tips, and I wrote them down and I read them. And like, I've done research. I'm doing research on fear. And Brene Brown is awesome on this topic. She's probably my favorite one so far on fear. And like, I know, guys, I know Michael Jordan missed more shots than he made. I know Thomas Edison had X amount of inventions fail before he made his money on a few. Like, I get that. I understand the most successful people fail more than they succeed. I'm still afraid of it. It still is an unpleasant feeling for me, and it still immobilizes me. So how can I get over this fear that I have? I think in order to overcome this fear, I need to lean into it. So this is what I'm doing in sharing this with you all, is I'm leaning into my fear and trying to understand it, trying to wrap my hands around it a little bit better so I can understand what's getting in my way. Like, why is this such a big deal to me? Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And in my journaling, I write those things down. Like, worst case scenarios, I look at. And I think I talked about that yesterday with positivity. And I've talked about writing your dreams down to help stay focused. But leaning into it, leaning into fear, especially my fear of failure, is uncomfortable. It's all uncomfortable. But one thing really positive, what I have found, is when I am the most uncomfortable and I am the most terrified, that is when big things happen, good things happen. So I go back to faith. Faith in God, faith in myself, faith in the universe. That if I start this day with a positive mindset, focused on my goals, understanding my purpose with a why, I can overcome my fear. I can put myself out there, I can hold myself accountable, and I can do great things. Now it's about putting that into action. So let's do something today that terrifies you. Do something today that is unpleasant, that feels uncomfortable. Just go out there and try. Because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You fail at it. Okay, that's uncomfortable and that's unpleasant too. So at least you're doing something about it, right? At least you're taking action, and action is the most important thing. Action is what brings joy into our lives. Action is what gets us off the couch. Action is what makes everything happen. So instead of being afraid and full of anxiety, I'm going to focus on the actions that I can take to overcome my fear. And I will let you all know how it goes for sure. So I'd love to hear, what are you afraid of? What are you working on? What mind chatter do you have this morning? Because I've had a lot of mind chatter this morning. I appreciate all of you listening, and let's make Thursday a great day. Cheers.